Part 3, everybody. We're back.
Hi.
This one is about the commandments. Believers don't have to keep the commandments.
Believers don't have to keep the commandments of the big 5 lies.
The big 5 lies. Stay tuned.
Sorry, it's been a minute. We've been celebrating the feast days.
It was a good feast.
It was. Well, they were, really, all of them.
Yeah.
That we did. Because they're
all three.
One after the other.
Back to back.
Yeah. For this one, we have a ton of verses. So just to let you know, the topic again is the big 5 lies. This is video number 3. And the subject is believers do not have to keep the commandments. This is a common misconception that is being taught, a false doctrine. And so
I would say it's pretty false.
Yeah. So
pretty
we're
false.
going to start first, the first half of the video. We're going to go through the arguments that people use to say that we don't have to keep the commandments. And then the second half of the video, we'll go through the points in scripturally, why you should.
Right. Not our opinion.
Yeah.
Just we're going to read it. Read it to you. You should go read more. All that.
Yeah. So argument number 1 is Jesus came to fulfill or complete and do away with the Torah or the law of God, to make it null and void or to abolish it.
Yeah, so these are arguments we've heard against keeping the Torah or the commandments.
Yeah.
In general.
So the first verse we're going to do is Galatians 2:19. These coming verses are ones that they use for this argument, saying that we don't have to. Galatians
2:19. For I, through the law, died to the law that I might live to God.
Yeah. Romans 8:2 is next. This is another one that they use. So the first one, they're dead to the law, so they can live for God, so they don't have to keep the law anymore. Romans 8:2.
Here we go. Romans 8:2. For the law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus has made me free from the law of sin and death.
So here is a misconception that the law or the Torah leads to sin and death. And then Romans 7 verses 4-6 is another one that they use.
7 verses 4-6, Romans 7, 4-6. Therefore, my brethren, you also have been dead to the law through the body of Christ, that you may be married to another, to him who has raised from the dead, that we should bear fruit to God. For when we were in the flesh, the sinful passions which were aroused by the law were at work in our members to bear fruit to death. But now we have been delivered from the law, having died to what we were held by, so that we should serve in the newness of the Spirit and not in the oldness of the letter.
So this one, they're saying that the law made us work to sin, and that sin is death, basically. So we were delivered from the law completely, so that way we wouldn't die. So that brings us to our first set of questions. So for each false argument, right? For each false argument, we have a set of questions and then some of our own verses to kind of counteract it. So our first question, do you want to take the first one?
Yeah, that's fine. When does Paul ever outrank Messiah if we are in fact understanding his message correctly?
So Paul is hard to understand, and if we use these verses that they have used and we're using it in correct context, and Paul is in fact saying that we don't have to keep the law anymore if we use these and we're using them correctly. That's not what the Messiah said. So when did Paul outrank what Messiah said? Is Paul suddenly over the Messiah?
Or anybody, not just Paul, but anybody, including your preacher.
Yeah. Or your friends or your family
Family
members or
member, mom,
anybody
dad.
that's saying that you don't have to keep the law anymore or that you shouldn't because the law only leads to sin and death. So that's question number one. And then question number two.
Do we truly have a good understanding of what Paul is saying if it goes against the Messiah? Even Peter warns in 2 Peter 3:16, Paul is hard to understand.
So Peter says that Paul knows what he's talking about, but he's sometimes hard to understand because he like talks in spaghetti. He goes back and forth and around and all that. So he is very hard to understand if you don't know what he's saying or the points he's bringing up.
Or if you don't know what Paul's actually teaching from.
Exactly.
But we'll get into that.
Yeah. Okay, so for our citations, we have explanations from Messiah starting with John 8:11.
John 8:11.
Yep. So just a little background on this.
Well,
This is a woman who was supposedly caught in adultery, and he asked her, "Where are the people that are accusing you? Has anyone left to accuse you?" And she said, "No one."
Right, and she said, "No one is here to accuse you." And Jesus said to her, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more."
Okay, now go to John 5:14.
John 5:14.
Okay, so this is a guy who had an infirmity for, I think, like 38 years or something. And he healed him where he could walk. So he picked up his bed and started walking. And then I don't remember if it's the Pharisees or the scribes, but someone accosts him and is like, "Why are you picking your mat up on the Sabbath and walking?"
Right.
So just to put that into perspective for you. So John 5:14 says.
Here we go. And afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, "See, you have been made well. Sin no more, lest a worse thing come upon you."
Okay, so he tells him to sin no more again. So he told the lady to sin no more, and he's telling this guy to sin no more. So go to Matthew 5:28.
So this, I'm just going to start at 27.
Okay.
You have heard it was said to those of old, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that whoever looks at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart.
So here he's not only talking about the law and teaching the law, but he's enforcing it in such a way that it's narrowing the path. So no longer is it actually physically committing adultery. It's also adultery in your heart that matters, because it says that who knows the heart of a man, and there should be a circumcision of the heart. So he's making the law, if you will, even more strict. So that's what it means, that Greek word enforce. When people say, well, he came to fulfill the law, that word fulfill in the Greek is actually enforce. So the question here is, what is sin?
What is sin? That's a good question.
The verse is 1 John 3. So 1 John chapter 3. And we're going to look at verse 4, because it literally tells you exactly what sin is.
Whoever commits sin also commits lawlessness. And sin is lawlessness.
And we're going to take it one step further and skip on to verse 8. Again, please read around this, go in context.
Yeah. So we're going to jump down to 8. He who sins is of the devil, for the devil has sinned from the beginning. For this purpose the Son of God was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil.
Okay, so sin is lawlessness, so Torahlessness, and he told everyone to go and sin no more, because sinners, yes, we're all sinners, we all have fallen short of the glory of God. I think we can all agree on that. But if you continue sinning purposefully, continually, not, oh, I made a mistake, oh, thank goodness I have grace, but just like, oh, he covered me from the time I got saved until I die, so I can do whatever I
From
want.
head to toe, I
So
can do whatever.
there's a big difference in the doctrines there. So be sure that you're thinking about that. And we're going to be asking a bunch of these questions almost rhetorically. We'll give a little clip of an answer, but it's just to get you to think deeper. So, argument number 2, Jesus only gave us 2 commandments to follow. Sometimes maybe the 10,
Every now and then, they say, yeah,
but
we need to do the 10.
2 major ones. So this is their argument, Matthew 22:36-37.
I'm going to start at,
You want to start at 34?
34. Matthew 22:34. But when the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together. Then one of them, a lawyer, asked him a question, testing him and saying, Teacher, which is the great commandment in the law? Jesus said unto him, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself.
Pause there because they don't read any further. Remember,
That's
they
it.
pull these out of context, right? So our question is, did Yahusha say that these were the only 2 commandments? Or did he say they were the only ones? If you actually read the entire passage and continue on to verse 40, because we actually left off at verse 39. So Brad read 34 to 39. If you read verse 40 to get context on the entire passage, go ahead and read it.
Verse 40. On these 2 commandments that he just mentioned, hang all the law and the prophets.
So the entirety of the Torah and everything the prophets ever spoke, all the prophets that came before Yahusha, if you read the entire context, then he's saying that there's not just one law. He's saying that these 2 summarize the laws and that everything else of consequence that came from it all came from these 2.
And we've done this. We've actually broke down the many rules that are in the Old Testament, and every one of them can tie to these 2. Yahusha's not telling a story here. He's not making the 2 the only.
Yeah.
He's literally showing you that all of the law, all of the Torah connects to these 2 in some way. Mm-hmm. If you love the Father, you're going to do these things. If you love your neighbor, you're going to do these things, and they're all common sense stuff.
Yeah.
Don't steal from your neighbor. Don't take your neighbor's wife.
Don't sleep with your sister.
Don't sleep with your sister. Sure. Yeah, I mean, you can go as weird as you want, but it's those kind of laws that people are. Well, those are still in play, But it's like, well,
but what about,
Yahusha said, Jesus said, you only have to do these 2 now.
Well, what about wearing the tassels, or what about
Yeah.
eating pork, or etc.? There are so many that
Did he
that
say
they pick
no
and
dietary
choose.
laws here? Did he mention that at all? He said these 2 hang on everything.
All of them, right? So, here's the argument. Let's from our point, the retort, if you will. We're going to listen to another thing that Yahusha said, or Jesus, to keep the law. So he just said that all of the law hangs on these 2 commandments. But
Matthew 5, we're going to start at 17.
these are the words of the Messiah.
Yes, here we go. And this is straightforward. You can't run from this. Do not think that I came to destroy the law or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. Mm-hmm. For assuredly I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, one jot or one tittle will by no means pass from the law till all is fulfilled. Whosoever breaks one of the least commandments and teaches men to do so shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven.
One of the least of these commandments.
Yeah, but whoever does and teaches them, he shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. Mm-hmm. And this is the one that I don't know if you brought up later on, if you want to do it now, but I was going to bring this one up just because it crossed my mind when we were putting this together, when you were putting this together. Verse 20, and this one hurts. For I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you will by no means enter into the kingdom of heaven.
So what does that mean? What does it mean to exceed the righteousness? So it wasn't that they weren't doing the law, they were doing the law to the letter, but they were adding in their own doctrine, right? But the whole point of this is to do and teach even the least of the commandments. He says he did not come to abolish the law or the prophets. He didn't come to get rid of any of it. He came to enforce it and to tell people to do it and to tell people to quit following man's traditions.
That's exactly right. That's what I was
So-
just fixing to say.
First question is, he said that it wouldn't pass away until all is fulfilled. That's everything. That's us going into the new heaven and new earth, and everything's done on this earth. That's when all is done. So are we in the new heaven and new earth now? Would be my question.
It's a good question.
If it's not supposed to be, if the law doesn't pass away until earth passes away, are we still on earth? Because, not to be facetious or snide, but I feel like I'm still on earth. I don't feel like I'm in new heaven right now. If I am in new heaven, then I want to know why I have a sickness and why I still get sad. You know, I thought we weren't supposed to have those things anymore.
Yeah.
So, anyway, just a question. And then question number 2.
Hold on. I want to chime in here real fast. One last thing.
Okay.
If we go back to verse 20, the word righteousness, exceeding the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, that word, look into that word. Go and look at the Greek of this word, and also the righteousness in the Hebrew writing. They mean the same thing. It means to act in a way that is not sinning. It is a person that is
So
following
holiness.
the rules. Holiness. Yeah, and if you look up the Strongs on it, righteousness, it's of character or act. So it's doing something. To be righteous means that those guys were following the law. They just added to the law, and that's what he was rebuking. He wasn't rebuking the calendar. He wasn't rebuking the other things. He was just rebuking the things they've added to the Father's actual commands on how to act.
Well, it's like when he said, you know, you tithe down to the last little bit of mint and dill or whatever, but you neglect the mercy and the justice in the law.
Yeah, and the faith.
So that's what because of their traditions, they made it harder for people to enter the kingdom.
That's right.
Because of their traditions. But it wasn't that they weren't keeping the law itself, it's that they were adding to it, which we're not supposed to do.
That's right. And that's what he rebuked many, many times.
So question number 2 now?
Question number 2, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Do we really have faith or belief if what we're doing goes directly against his teachings and his sayings? And by his, I mean the Messiah.
It's a tough question.
Because you can say you believe all day long, and maybe you believe that he existed, but if you don't believe in his message or in his acts or in his words, then do you truly have faith if you're not willing to listen and do what he says?
You're not willing to have a change of heart.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think we've hammered on that one.
Hammer down.
Excuse me. All right, so argument number 3. He enforced the law while he was here. So that's what some people say. So they're like, yeah, they had to follow the law.
He was
right?
perfect.
Yeah. He enforced the law while he was here, but his death freed us from the entire law.
I've heard this many times.
But the 10 commandments still apply, except for sometimes the Sabbath and sometimes images and idols. Those are some of the big ones. But adultery still applies, and we have to keep God number 1 in our hearts. But it's when you ask people about this, they don't really know what to say. So. The citation for them is from Yahusha, 2 different instances. So the first one is John 19:30. He's on the cross, the stake, the pole.
The stick, whatever you want to.
Yeah.
The tree.
The tree, depends on how you want to translate that word, but he's sitting there and he's dying, and he has already said, "Why have you forsaken me?" etc. And so we're just going to read verse 30 because that's what's taken out of context.
And it says, so when Yahusha or Jesus had received the sour wine, he said, "It is finished." And bowing his head, he gave up his spirit, the Ruach.
So a lot of people that I know, like people in my family and some of my older friends, they take this verse out of context and they say, well, he finished everything. He finished the law on the cross. And so the law doesn't apply anymore because he died for it.
He took care of it.
Instead
It's
of
fine.
dying because of our sins, it's he died to the law. So there's a big doctrine twist there. So when he's saying it is finished, he was saying his atonement for us is finished. His crucifixion or his death was done. That part of his story was finished. He's like, finally, it's over. I don't have to be in agony anymore.
Yeah, that's why he was asking about, hey, is there any way we can not have this happen? And,
Yeah, in the
you know,
Garden of
I'm
Gethsemane.
still going to do what you asked, Father, but
Yeah.
it'd be
Is
cool
there
if we
any
didn't.
way I don't have to go
Is
through
there any
this?
way out of this, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so another one is John 3:16, and I think if you grew up like I did in the churches, you probably have this memorized. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believe in him should not perish but have eternal life. So our question with this, so that makes it seem pretty easy that hey, all that matters is just believing on him.
Yeah, just
That's what they
believe.
use at the close of almost every sermon when they have the altar call, etc. They're like, all you have to do is believe. Just come up here and give your life to him and believe, and that's it. Which is such a nice thought, and it really is for the itching ears. I want to do what's right. I want to be saved, and if all I have to do is believe, well, I believe, so I'm gonna come and say I believe, and
The
that's
sinner's
that, and
prayer.
I'm
Yeah.
good for the rest of my life.
Do you accept?
So our question is, has anyone actually read the context of either of these two passages of John 3:16 or of John 19:30? Like the whole premise is that these verses make a great doctrine when they're strung together, a very happy doctrine, but they're not actual doctrine. You have to actually read the Bible in order to understand what's going on. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying that to hope to spur you to read your
Yeah,
Bibles.
because we're not going to even cover what we think here. Go read John 3:16, John 3:1 to John
The end.
3:21,
Yeah.
and just read the whole thing. Like we don't, and put it in the comments.
The
We're not.
premise of this, do we just not want to
We're
even
not
go over
going to
the
talk about
premise?
it. If
Okay.
this has been spit around the world for 200 years plus, or I'm sorry, for 2,000 years, and people have twisted this to their own demise. Go read it. Put it in the comments. Tell us we're wrong. Just
Specifically verses 17 and 18.
yeah,
But
just hone in on it. Do a study from 1 to 21.
yeah, you've got to read the context of what's going on. So again, they say that because he said it is finished, that means that the law was abolished at that moment. It never says that. And John 3:16 says is what people pull out to say that belief is the only thing that matters. So what we're going to do is we're going to cite from Paul.
Yeah, why not?
So we're going to go to Galatians 1, verses 15 to 18.
When it pleased God, who separated me from my mother's womb and called me through his grace to reveal his Son in me, that I might preach him among the Gentiles, I did not immediately confer with flesh and blood, nor did I go up to Jerusalem to those who were apostles before me, but I went to Arabia and returned again to Damascus. Then after 3 years I went up to Jerusalem, to see Peter and remained with him 15 days.
Okay, so when he had the revelation, the vision on the road to Damascus, he went and he did not confer with flesh and blood, according to verse 16. So he didn't go to priests, he didn't go to Peter, he didn't go to any of the other apostles that he was hunting down. He went into Arabia. And there's another part where he says that he actually went to Sinai, which he lists to be in Arabia. But anyway, neither here nor there. If he's not conferring with flesh and blood, what is it he's conferring with? It would have to be the word. He was a trained Pharisee. He had all of the previous scriptures. So he had to pray and read for understanding, because now he came to this new understanding. So now he's looking for the Messiah in scripture, which he hadn't been looking for really before. Not this sort of a Messiah. He was looking for maybe a militant Messiah or something like that. So he had to go back and reread and re-understand everything.
Right.
So
If
he
this
did
guy
not
was the
confer with
Messiah,
flesh and blood. He conferred with the word.
yeah,
And
he
his
went and
spirit.
wrestled.
He
He went
prayed.
and wrestled and prayed and figured it out.
Yeah. So that leads us to his letter to Timothy. So we're going to go to 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15.
Be diligent to present yourself approved to Yahuwah, a worker who does not need to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth.
So in other editions, it says to study to show yourself approved. So be diligent in your readings. So here's the question. If belief is the only thing that matters, then why did Paul tell Timothy to study and show himself approved? If he didn't have to change, or if he didn't have to know anything, if he didn't have to do anything, why would he have to show himself approved? And why would he have to study anything? Another question is, why was it not, and is it not okay or good enough for the demons to believe? Go to James chapter 2, 19.
Verse 19. Thou believest that there is one Yahuwah, one Elohim. Thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble.
Okay, so the devils also believe. So what difference is there put between you and a demon just because you believe?
There has to be a difference,
There
right?
has to be a difference. So he's saying if you believe there's one God, you do really well, but even the demons believe and tremble. So you need to read that passage as well. It's really, really good in the James 2. So we're going to go, and we don't necessarily have to read these ones off, I don't think. But there's a bunch in Acts.
Blow a shofar in Zion, sound an alarm on my holy mountain. Let all the peoples of the land tremble.
Paul disputed, he preached, and he persuaded inside the synagogues.
On the Sabbath
on
day.
the Sabbath, how would he be able to persuade priests and religious leaders and perhaps even zealots if he wasn't using what they followed to persuade them? Like if I were to think, well, this science book tells me evolution is real.
Sure.
You probably wouldn't be able to come at me with a religious book necessarily saying that it wasn't, unless you had some kind of physical proof as well. Right? So if they are how we have learned to be, and they're 100% on this, then it wouldn't do any good for him to come in with a worldly argument or with just words. He would have to show it to them, because they would say, show it to me. I don't believe you. Show it to me, right? Especially because he was a well-known, trained Pharisee who's now going against his previous order in a way. He's for them. Like, he's like, I really want you guys to come to my understanding. I really want you guys to be followers as well.
This
I want
guy
you to
is the
believe
Messiah.
that he's the Messiah.
He's trying to
But
convince everybody.
you can't go to a lawyer and tell them that the law is wrong without showing them in the law how the law's wrong. So what was he using to argue with is the question. He was obviously using the Torah and the prophets, which is, holy, called the Tanakh. But so that's what he was arguing. And then in Acts 20, verse 31, he says for 3 years that he gave them warnings. He's like, for 3 years, I've been given warnings in preaching. So let's read Romans 7:25.
All right. I thank God, through Jesus Christ our Lord, So then, with the mind, I myself serve the law of God, but with the flesh of the law of sin.
So Paul tells us several times that we have to fight our flesh daily. So the flesh is what wants to sin. And here he's making a really, really big distinction. Again, if you don't know what he's saying or how he words things, you can misinterpret this. What he's saying is there's a separation between the law of God and the law of sin, which is the law of flesh. So this is something really important you need to keep in mind going forward with the rest of this study as we go through this with you. So here's a few questions. Do you want to take some of these questions, or do you want me to keep reading them?
Here we go.
Okay.
What did Paul use to persuade the people in the synagogues? Just his words, or did he show them proof in the Tanakh or the scriptures? It's a good question. What did he use? We just read it.
And talked about it.
And talked about it. Question number 2. What scriptures would Paul have had other than the Old Testament, a.k.a. the Tanakh?
Did he have Peter's letters? Did he have the book of Matthew and the book of John and the book of Mark and the book of Luke and the book of Acts while he's living it?
No.
Did he have John's revelation on Patmos when he was like 90 years old? Pretty sure Paul was dead by then. Pretty sure he was crucified.
Yeah. Question number 3. Why would Paul have made a distinction between two sets of laws from Yahuwah if there weren't two sets? God and sin.
That's a really important question. Why would he make that distinction? He makes it more than one time, by the way. You can also go to Galatians. There are other parts of Romans he says it in. And he hints at it in other books like Ephesians as well. Okay, so those are the three main arguments we've come across. There are a couple of other ones, but those are the three big ones that we wanted to address.
It's mostly twisting Paul's words.
It is.
In my experience, when you have this conversation, it's, hey, well, Paul said this, and Paul, what about when Paul said this in this book or this letter? And I constantly try to feed these people the idea to get away from Paul's letters, not because Paul's not who he says he is, not because we don't take Paul and use him for our walk. That's not what we're saying. If you don't understand the Torah, the first part of the Bible, flip it for the very beginning. If you don't understand that, you don't need to read Paul. You need to understand all this, get to the clarification of the Torah through Yahusha's words, then look at Paul in a different light, not looking at Paul to figure out if it's okay to sin and you're still going to be fine as long as you believe. Because that's the general push from most of Christians of today.
It's not to say that Paul wasn't an apostle. It's not to say that he wasn't well learned. It's not to say that you can't benefit from him, because in fact he has some really awesome things to say.
Oh yeah, if you really understand him,
but
he's deep.
Just like he told Timothy, you have to be able to rightly divide the word, and that includes what he says, because he has it rightly divided in his mind. But if you're still smushing everything together in one big ball, you're not going to understand when he takes two different concepts and pulls them apart.
Yeah. And just like Peter said, you will twist it to your own destruction. You'll twist Paul's words to your own destruction,
which means that you'll take him out of context and then you'll make excuses to sin because he's hard to understand. Now we're on to the scriptural and biblical reasons for keeping the Torah, the law of Yahuwah, and the observations of modern believers that we have seen. And so point number 1 here. Do you want to take these points since I took the last ones?
I can't. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
There seems to be no knowledge of the message, no understanding of Messiah's message, Paul's message, or the prophets.
Yep. So we're going to start in the Old Testament, or the Tanakh, with some warnings and some observations then, and then we're going to apply it to today. So we're going to start with Hosea
Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. That one
So
hurts.
even back then, the priestly nation that Israel was supposed to be and still is supposed to be, the priestly nation went astray from him several times, over and over and over and over again, to the point where they were scattered about in the Gentile nations to lose their faces. And so he's saying here, there is no knowledge of my word in you. You forgot me. You forgot my laws. And so you're going to be destroyed. And it's just a really hard verse if you take it on whether you yourself have forgotten him and his laws. Are you going to be destroyed? So Malachi 3:6 is next.
Malachi 3:6. Here I go. For I am the Lord.
Yahweh.
I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed.
Okay. So he's saying here, he doesn't change. And if you take this in context, he's saying that a remnant of them will come back to the law and return to him, and he won't, it'll be after a long, sufferable time, but there will be a remnant that he will save of them. So Jacob is Israel. He was renamed Israel. So it's important to know that for this verse as well. But he's saying that they won't be wholly consumed, where there's none of them left.
This is a beautiful chapter, and it would be
It is.
wonderful if y'all would go and read this. Right, a lot of people use this verse even on our side out of context. They just say, "For God doesn't change; He said, I change not."
Well, he doesn't change.
Well, He doesn't.
He doesn't
but
change his mind.
the actual context
On that.
here in this particular area of the Tanakh is, it's a wonderful story.
Yeah. Like he shows mercy a bunch of times. But as far as his intention for us to keep his laws, that doesn't change. He still wants us to keep his laws. Can you go to Isaiah 10, verses 21 and 22?
All right, here we go. The remnant shall return, even the remnant of Jacob, unto the mighty Elohim. For though thy people, Yashrael, be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return. The consumption decreed shall overflow with righteousness.
Okay, so he's saying when you're distributed through all these nations, a bunch of you you're already away from me, but a bunch of you are going to continue to have kids, they're going to fall away from me, etc. But at some point, there's going to be a little bit of people that are going to be left, and they're going to follow me, and they're going to come back to the way it was supposed to be, and those are the people I'm going to save, and those are the ones that I'm going to bring out of the tribulations, and those are the ones that are going to be in the millennial kingdom and then into the new heaven and new earth with me. Is basically what he's saying. Let's go to Micah 2, verse 12 in this one.
Okay, here we go. Micah 2, verse 12. I will surely assemble, O Jacob, all of thee. I will surely gather the remnant of Yashrael. I will put them together as the sheep of Basra, as the flock in the midst of their fold. They shall make great noise by reason of the multitude of men.
Okay, so they're going to, again, here, surely at some point I will gather the remnant of Israel. The remnant, that means a small little bit. Like when you're sifting flour, if you're a baker, like I happen to like to bake sometimes, you sift flour and you just get those little teeny chunks out, and that would be the remnant. So he's sifting Israel through the nations, and then the remnant will be a small amount, but will be large in heart and following Yahuwah. And then the last one is Jeremiah 16:19.
O Yahuwah, my strength and my fortress, and my refuge in the day of affliction, the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, Surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit.
Go ahead and read 21 and 22 also.
Shall a man make gods, lowercase, unto himself? And they are no gods. Therefore, behold, I will this once cause them to know. I will cause them to know mine hand and my might, and they shall know that my name is Yahuwah Elohim.
So when this happens, even the Gentile nations that didn't believe before, and yes, we see that happening a little bit today here and there, Gentiles that come in to the way, and it's beautiful to see. But this is talking about a major event that will cause them to know that he is Yahuwah, and they'll say that their fathers inherited lies also. Right? They'll be like, okay, so we saw the Hebrews slip up, we saw the Israelites slip up, but we saw some of them that were true, and they were saved. And now we must have inherited lies as well. Our gods aren't really gods at all, because we watched what the real God can do.
That's right.
Okay, so now we're going to go on to the New Testament, if you will, or after Yahusha. So we'll start with Paul. Paul's fun. So we're going to go Galatians 2:16-17.
Galatians 2:16-17. Here we go. Knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, but by the faith of Yahushua HaMashiach, even we have believed in Yahushua HaMashiach, that we might be justified by faith in Yahushua, and not by the works of the law. For by the works of the law shall no flesh be justified. But if while we seek to be justified by Mashiach, we ourselves also are found sinners, is therefore Christ the minister of sin? God forbid.
Okay,
Yahuwah
so he's saying
forbid.
we have to seek to be justified. Our works can never justify us because we are all sinners, or have been, right? But in seeking to be justified or seeking to be righteous, using the law of Yahuwah, not the law of sin and death, but the law of Yahuwah, then it's like a mirror, and it shows us where our imperfections are. But does that mean that Yahuwah put sin on us? No, he's the one that takes it away, right? And perfects us. So we have to strive to be perfect, but because we are always imperfect, he's the one that finishes that out for us.
That's right.
All right. Romans 6:1-2. Yeah.
Okay. Romans 6:1-2. Here we go. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin? We have already defined sin. Everybody remembers that.
Being lawless.
That grace may abound? Again, Yahuwah forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein?
Okay. So he's saying, be dead to sin. What is sin? Lawlessness.
Transgression of the Torah.
Transgression of the Torah. All right. Now let's go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 7.
Chapter 4, verse 7.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. For Yahuwah hath not called us unto uncleanliness, but unto holiness.
Okay. So in this, he's talking about, actually, if you go to verse 2 even, it says, for you know that what commandments we gave you by Yahusha, right? So again, Yahusha didn't say that he was taking away the commandments at all. He said what the two greatest ones were, because they summarize all the other ones. And so Paul is bringing this message. So there's another point where Paul is saying, like I said, in Galatians and in Romans and now in Thessalonians, we're showing that he brought the commandments to these other people, to Thessalonica, to Corinth, to Ephesus. He brought the commandments to these places. Yeah, Britannia also. But he was saying, don't be impure. You weren't called to impurity. You were called to be holy. So let's see what John the Apostle has to say.
John the Apostle.
Mm-hmm. We're going to go to 1 John. We're just going to see if Paul's message matches up with the other apostles.
Yeah. Is he a false apostle?
1 John chapter 2. And then go verses 2-7.
All right, here we go. And he is the propitiation for our sins, and not for ours only, but also for the sins of the entirety of the earth. And hereby we do know that we know him if we keep his commandments. He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments, is a liar, and the truth is not in him.
A liar.
But whosoever keepeth his word, in him verily is the love of Yahuwah perfected. Hereby know we that we are in him. He that saith he abideth in him ought himself also so to walk, even as he walked.
Verse 7.
Brethren, I write no new commandment unto you, but an old commandment, which ye had from the beginning. The old commandment is the word which ye have heard from the beginning.
Okay, so John's saying this isn't new. It's been from the beginning, Torah. If you say that you're in Messiah, but you're not walking in the commandments, then you're not really in Messiah. This is John's message, which is exactly what Paul was saying. So far they say the same thing. Now go to 1 John 3:8 again. Let's just remind everybody what 3:8 says.
1 John 3:8, it says, He that committeth sin is of the devil, for the devil sinneth from the beginning. For this purpose the Son of Yahuwah was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil.
Again, he did not die for no reason. He didn't die that we could continue going on our daily lives, that we didn't have to change, etc. Yes, I do agree with the Christian philosophy of you can come as you are.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's no other way to come. But you cannot stay that way. And if you know there's something you need to change, you need to change it as quickly as possible. Whether you need help to change it, or whether you can, in fact, change it yourself, or whether you need the Spirit to change it for you, you must change.
Well, and if you keep reading here, because this is the second time we've been here, and I'm going to read it now.
It's a heart problem is what I was going to say.
This is about the heart. That's exactly what I was fixing to say, too. He that committeth sin is of the devil. And then verse 9, Whosoever is born of Yahuwah doth not commit sin, for his seed remaineth in him, and he cannot sin, because he is born of Yahuwah. In this the children of Yahuwah are manifest, and the children of the devil. Whosoever doeth not righteousness is not of God, neither he that loveth not his brother. Those are the two commandments that Yahushua was talking about. So whosoever doesn't live in righteousness, doesn't act out the Torah, which is righteousness, is holiness, is not of God, is not of Yahuwah, the one God, the real God, the true God.
And that's not to say that you will ever be perfect. We should be perfect. The scripture tells us to be perfect.
It says be holy.
But we also agree with Paul that everyone has sinned. And whether it's you stub your, and after you come to know Yahuwah, whether you stub your toe and say a curse word, or, you lose your temper, or you decide to take something small, from a store or whatever, and then you decide to return it. We all make mistakes, but you cannot continue to do that. When you do those things, you should feel bad, and you should ask for forgiveness, and you should try not to do it again.
It was the Thessalonians verse, I believe, but that it was on the screens while it jumped in my head. Even Paul was talking about a sanctification walk.
Yeah, a process.
About a process.
You're not going to be perfect off the bat.
Here comes the information. I need you to start with these things. This stuff is easy.
Yeah.
And as you get better in this, obviously, like Jen said,
as you
you
learn,
can come as you are, but you have to eventually leave holy.
You have to be like what he told Timothy. You have to be a student. You have to study.
Yeah.
Right?
And during that process, you're going to learn new things, especially if you're a lost puppy in the middle of high weeds.
Okay.
I mean, just seriously, the people that have no idea of any of this stuff, you're not going to be held accountable right off the bat. It's a change of heart to even seek the knowledge. To become that student is part of the process, and then learning the things.
And then putting them into practice.
And put them into practice.
And you're going to stumble a couple of times.
2 by 2. The easy ones first. Some of the harder ones
later.
Yeah. I mean, that's just how it works.
Yep.
It's the heart that you've changed to want to do this is the point. You can't get in the race if you can't change your heart.
Yeah.
You just can't get in it. You can pretend all day long, go to church every weekend, every
Yeah.
third day or whatever they do these days. But at the end of the day, if you don't change your heart, get in the race to discipleship and to a learned person in the Word, you never actually seeked Him. You just listen to the preacher. You got to get in
Or
there
your
and you
friend.
got to
Or your
pray
family
to the
member.
Father for discernment. You got to do it for yourself. We can't make you.
Nobody can. Right? Okay, so let's go to another apostle. We're going to go to 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9.
All right, here we go. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people. I can't say that word.
Peculiar.
Don't make fun of me. That ye should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of the darkness into his marvelous light, which in times past were not a people, but are now the people of Yahuwah, which had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy.
Okay, so before you were with Yahuwah, you weren't a people. You were just human beings wandering the earth aimlessly in darkness, blind leading the blind. But once you see the light, not just that you believe, but the light actually in the beginning is the Torah that was given. Light here, and in the beginning it says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, etc. It says that he created the light, and the evening and the morning was the first day. And when he created that light, that word for light is instruction. He created order out of chaos. He created the laws for the physics of
Righteousness.
how the earth creates things, of how DNA works, etc., and how we should live according to those other laws and according to him and how he created us to be.
Yep. That's good, Jen.
Thanks.
I like that.
Thank you.
Makes me happy.
So I'm not going to read these, but in Romans 11, it calls the Gentiles a wild olive tree, and the Jews of the time it called a pruned olive tree, and it talks about how they are grafted together. And then in Galatians 3:28, it says there is no more Jew or a Gentile. We're all supposed to be Israel. We're all supposed to be the chosen. Many
That's
are
another
called,
video.
few are chosen. I know, but I wanted to throw this in here because he's talking to any people. He's specifically writing to the Jews of the time, Peter is, in this particular letter. But when you come to Messiah, you're neither Jew nor Gentile. And the way to differentiate that is by who's following the law. And we'll get into that in one of our next points. So with that, let's go to what Yahusha said. No, let's go to what Yahuwah the Father said. Let's go to Leviticus 19. And we're going to go to verse 2.
All right, verse 2. Speak unto all the congregation of the children of Yashrael, and say unto them, Ye shall be holy, for I, Yahuwah Elohim, your Elohim, am holy.
Okay? So we're supposed to be holy because he's holy, just like the apostles were saying. So now let's see what the Messiah said. Let's see what Yahusha said, or Jesus, if you will. We're going to John chapter 7. Sorry, I forgot to read it.
You're fine.
Verse 16.
I can read your mind.
Yeah, right.
Here we go. I'm going to start in 15. And the Jews marveled, saying, How knoweth this man letters, having never learned? Yahusha answered them and said, My doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. If any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of Yahuwah, or whether I speak of myself.
Okay. So when everyone's saying, yeah, I know Yahuwah or God, the Father, made laws in the Old Testament, but Yahusha came here to do away with those and kind of insinuating he's doing his own thing.
Yeah, man, that's what they say.
But so this is literally refuting that, and it's his own words. He's saying that he didn't come. There's another verse, I believe it's in John also, that says, I came not to do my will, but the will of my Father.
Many
and
times, yeah.
here it says that his doctrine isn't his. So his understanding, his interpretation of the scriptures isn't his, but of the Father. Because the Father put it into him to do, because he volunteered to come here. Let's go to Matthew 7, verse 23. This is a really hard one.
Matthew 7, verse 23. All right. And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity.
So this is talking about a judgment. And by your fruits you will be known. So by your works, what you do, good or bad. And he says that not everyone who calls out to him, and calls him Lord or calls him Master or calls him Teacher is going to be able to get into heaven. And they'll say, well, I prophesied and I did this and I did that. And I even cast out demons in your name. So they used his name in vain. So they used the power of his name, but they never knew him because they didn't listen to his message and they didn't return to the Father, and they were still sinning. I know a lot of people, particularly on YouTube, that they sit there and cast out demons, but then they turn around and they're like, oh, we're having a barbecue pork ribs, and we're having, pulled pork sandwiches and whatever. Or there's a church I visited a few weeks ago, and it literally was like shrimp jambalaya in the lobby or whatever for their luncheon. And I was like...
But it smelled rough in there, didn't it?
I mean, I like the smell of jambalaya, whether it's chicken or otherwise, but please stop.
Sorry.
Anyway, so he's saying that when it comes to judgment and you're asking to get into the kingdom of heaven, he's going to tell you to leave because you didn't listen to him and you didn't follow. And that goes for me, that goes for Brad, that goes for you. Anyone who chooses not to listen and voluntarily misinterprets or misunderstands the word is going to be held accountable. And anyone that pretends that they're a teacher, not understanding the word, is going to be held super accountable. And then anyone who does understand and teaches against it anyway is going to be held super duper accountable.
Super duper.
So our questions are, if Yahusha teaches what the Father says, right? Because he said it wasn't his doctrine. So if he teaches what the Father says, then why not obey it?
It's a good question.
You want to take number 2?
Oh, sure. If Paul says we are dead to sin and not to continue in sin, why not listen to him?
Yeah. I don't understand these questions. So this is where I had noted to, you already said it earlier, but lots of people cherry pick what Paul says to string it out to make this beautiful doctrine for itching ears.
Because they
don't understand. They don't understand what he's actually saying.
Got to have that bacon.
Well, they need to read Peter's vision, the whole entire thing then in Acts. Like the whole thing, not just that little brief section that's taken out of context. Okay, number 3. If John, the beloved disciple, right? He's not just a disciple. He's the beloved disciple. If he says that continual sinners are of the devil, then why doesn't that apply? Number 4. Yahusha will turn away those who commit continual iniquity. So why is it okay to disobey the Father? His Father.
Yeah, and just pause there for a second because we didn't pile into that word there, but it says, depart from me, back in Matthew 7:23. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. This can also be lawlessness. This can be Torahlessness. This can be unrighteousness. Iniquity is a breaking of the law. Mm-hmm. And that's a perfect question for that.
So the reason why they use a word such as iniquity is because it's not as bold as the word sin. It's not as strong in people's minds as the word sin. There's like iniquity. Oh, okay, so they were being bad. Sin. Oh my gosh, you're a sinner. So it makes it easier on the ears. Lies for itching ears, right? Flatteries for itching ears. So do you want to do the last question?
Sure. Is it the...
Right here. I mean, we still have 2 other points, but...
Are teachers who say it's okay to go against Yahusha, wouldn't that make them false teachers? Who are teaching doctrines of demons? If they're doing it knowingly, and if not, should they not be corrected?
So whether your pastor or your
Some good
friend or
questions,
your
Jen.
elder, thank you. So whether or not they know that they're teaching incorrectly, you will know going forward that they're teaching incorrectly.
If
So
you've made it this far.
you should make a private meeting and discuss this with them. I challenge you to do that and bring up all of these verses and show them where the Messiah says, oh no, we actually do need to follow what the Father says. Because remember, Father and Son, if you are at home and your child is continuously disrespecting you and disobeying you, etc., you may not want to kick them out. And in most instances, you probably shouldn't kick them out. But if they're doing illegal things constantly and continuously, and they just talk bad to you, and they treat everyone around them like crap, and they don't listen to you at all, there's going to be a time where they reach adulthood and they're going to have to figure it out on their own, as opposed to a child that's obedient and works hard. And it's not that you don't love the child that you've had to let go. You love them the same, whether they obey you or whether they don't obey you, but there is a cutoff.
Hey, yeah,
You know, there's only so much that you can deal with as a parent, and I know we continue to try, even with the ones that have gone astray.
Sure,
Just like Yahuwah is patient. It says he's patient and long-suffering so that we can come to him, so that he gives us time to figure it out. He doesn't want that any should perish, right? So let's get back on track for just a second, unless you had something you wanted to put up there. You good?
Well, I was just going to go back to that word, but it doesn't matter. It falls into what you're talking about with your kids.
You want to go ahead and put it on there then?
Yeah, it's just that it's that word there.
Iniquity.
That's iniquity, lawlessness, transgression. Children that fall away, that doesn't mean that they can't come back. So that's
Thankfully.
always and it's
Thankfully.
a deed, lawless deed,
So it works.
unrighteousness.
Yeah. All right. So point number 2, there will be a distinction between good and evil in the end. Fence riders will be on the evil side. If you haven't chosen a side by the time he comes back, you're tossed in with evildoers. It doesn't matter how good of a person you've been. It doesn't matter. You chose not to follow him, not to learn about him, not to even try. You were straddling the fence the whole time. That's the sheep versus the goats, the wheat versus the tares, the good ripe fruit versus the naughty evil fruit. The choice is between those who followed the instructions, who will be chosen by Yahusha, who will be pardoned at judgment, and those who think that they're going to have all of that at judgment, as well as those who chose not to or didn't believe. So our first citation is from Yahusha, the Messiah, and it's Matthew 25:31-46.
We're gonna read the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Excuse me. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come ye, blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the earth. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee and hungered and fed thee, or thirsty and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger and took thee in, or naked and clothed thee? Or when saw we sick or in prison and came unto thee? And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto the one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me. Then shall he say also unto them that are on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, unto everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me no meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me not in. Naked, and ye clothed me not. Sick, in prison, and ye visited me not. Then shall they also answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee and hungered and athirst, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not minister unto thee? Then shall he answer them, saying, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye did not one of the least of these, ye did it not to me. And these shall go away in everlasting punishment, but the righteous into to life eternal.
Okay. So this is showing two types of people, and they both had the same questions. If you notice, the sheep and the goats both said, when did we see you sick? When did we see you naked? When did we see you hungry? When did we see you in prison? Etc. And he was like, every time you did it to anyone else, you did it for me.
Or you did it against me.
Or every time you didn't do one of these things, it was against me. So that's two types of hearts, two types of people. The ones who are following Yahuwah's laws, which is simply to love him and not have any other gods, and to love your brother as yourself. If you were naked, you'd want someone to put clothes on your behind. If you were hungry, you would want someone to put some food in you. So, like, these are not hard things, and we'll go over that in a little bit too, but it's showing the heart set.
It is, and it's important to realize that both groups, goats and sheep, both called him Lord, both called him Adonai. They both believed in him. And it's very important to realize the separation. Their hearts were for the needy, for the poor, for the widow, the orphan, like they were supposed to on the sheep side. But the other people walked right by those people on a daily basis. So one would say,
didn't do anything.
They
Get a
both
job, you
believed,
bum.
but their works showed their heart. And that's what Jen's trying to point out here, is one heart was still of stone, the other heart
Was of flesh.
And it's the Lord,
Allowed to prick your heart.
It's the same thing when he said, Depart from me, you that work iniquity. Bypassing a person in need would be a sinful thing to do if you're a believer, right?
Yeah. Especially if you have the means to help them.
That's right. That's old.
Like if you don't have
Old
the
Testament
means
and New Testament. You can't run from it, people.
If you even have $1 in your wallet or sitting there in your console in your car, and you see someone on the side of the road and you don't stop to give them that $1, that can be considered a sin. Are you going to do the right thing? Now, if you don't carry money, then maybe you can just ask them, hey, can I get you something to drink? I'll bring it back to you. Are you still going to be here in 5 minutes? And go out of your way to go get it at a gas station. There's gas stations everywhere.
Within reason. We're not telling you to go out and get hurt. It's the next verse she wrote down that goes perfect with this. Matthew 23:23. I'm going to read it.
Okay.
Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites, for ye tithe in the mint and mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law. The weightier matters of the law that he's telling the teachers of the law is judgment. And there's that word, mercy and faith. Talking about the sheep had mercy, the goats did not. The sheep had good works,
good
the
judgments.
goats did not. Good judgments, good faith. They had mercy on the people. And Yahushua's trying to point out that bypassing or helping these people, you were doing this to me. And that hurts when it's time for, I never knew you.
Which is the Matthew 7:23 that I have on here, which we've already read, but it's just, depart from me, you workers of iniquity, you know? So the question for this In the Matthew 25 passage comparing the sheep to the goats, in verse 34, it says, "Come, you blessed by my Father." This is also an indicator as to who these people are. If you didn't read the rest of the passage, if you took off the sheep and goats parable and you literally just took the "Come, you blessed of my Father" as an indicator of who these people are, it indicates who these people are that have been chosen. And so we need to ask ourselves, how do we get blessed? How are we blessed by or of the Father? So we have to go back to what the Father said to know how and when we would get blessed. So we're going to go to Deuteronomy 11 verses 26 to 28.
Okay, here we go. "Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing if ye obey the commandments of Yahuwah Elohim, which I command you this day. And a curse if ye will not obey the commandments of Yahuwah, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day, to go after other gods, which ye have not known."
All right. So again, read around and in context, but so the commandments were given in Exodus, but there's another writing, like a secondary writing of them in Deuteronomy, or Devarim, which means the words.
Boom.
So in Deuteronomy 11, he's saying, look, I gave you these commandments for a reason. I gave them because they will be life to you, whether it's food laws, dietary health, laws about not mixing fabrics, physical health, laws about not mixing nations, like with unbelievers, which is unequally yoked, which causes physical, emotional, mental, spiritual pain. Whether it's how to treat your brother so your family goes well. All of these are different things that he gave us so we could live a good life and a wholesome life and be relatively healthy, etc. There are, of course, other aspects in the entirety of the earth that do affect these things, outside nations attacking, or
Sure.
unbelievers being in your life and around you.
Whatever.
But if we follow, he says, a blessing and a curse, life and death. So the blessing is life and the curse is death. He's not talking about earthly death, because all have sinned and fallen short of the glory, and the wages of sin is death. But he's talking about the second death, which is the lake of fire. So you're either going to live everlasting, as John 3:16 promises, or you're going to go into the lake of fire and be eternally separated from the Father and all of his wonderful things and all of his blessings. So let's go to Paul now and go to Galatians 3 and do verses 13 to 14 here.
All right, here we go. "Christ hath redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For it is written, Cursed is everyone that hangeth on a tree, that the blessing of Abraham might come on the Gentiles through Yahushua HaMashiach, that we might receive the promise of the Spirit through faith."
Yeah. So even though Yahushua has perfected us, we're free from the curse of the law of blessing, the law of curse. If we're following the law of sin, right? Because remember in Romans, he differentiated between the law of God and the law of sin. So if we're following the law of sin, we're going to get the law of curse. If we're following the law of God, or Yahuwah, we're going to get the law of blessing. We're going to get the blessing, the law of life, right? So life or death. And he's saying that Yahushua has freed us from the law of sin and the curse of the law of sin. He didn't say anything in this passage about the law of blessing. He's simply talking about the law of sin and death. So let's go to Galatians 5:22 to 23.
Also, just wanted to point out
Okay, sorry.
at the end of this, that the blessing in 14, the blessing of Abraham might come on the Gentiles through Yahushua HaMashiach, that we, everyone
All of
else,
us.
and them might receive the promise. The promise he's speaking of here is the blessing. Promise of the Spirit through the faith.
Of eternal life through the Spirit.
Eternal
The
life.
leading of the Spirit to help
the
us,
same promise
help
that was
guide us.
Well, it's the same promise that was given way back in Deuteronomy where we're just talking about. He's like,
It was
this
given
is what
before that. It was given in Genesis to Abraham, according to
at the
verse
light.
14.
Yeah, but I'm talking about spoken of where we just
Oh, sure.
read in
Yeah.
Deuteronomy. He's literally saying, guys, you have a choice, life or death. Here's the promise, or you can all just die and perish. And we know, throughout the rest of the story, they ended up getting cut off and divorced and doing all the things they weren't supposed to do because they chose other gods or other Elohims. But
Yeah.
this is the exact same verbiage that he's using here, and I think it's important to point that out.
It is. You're right. And also it says that we might be saved because it's our choice. We have free will. He's not saying everybody's going to be saved. In fact, he's saying quite the opposite. He's saying there's only going to be a small remnant of the earth that comes to the full understanding and full knowledge. It's actually kind of sad. Not kind
Narrow.
of sad. It's very sad because it's a narrow path and there are few that are going to find it. And we're trying to help y'all understand. And so you can find it. So you can be on that narrow path. And it is sometimes struggle bus, because we're fighting our flesh daily because there aren't a lot of people. You can find them, but they're few and far between. And then when you find them, even some of them are questionable. And so we're just literally trying to have everyone understand what Paul is actually saying and what the true doctrine is, particularly from Messiah in this. But yeah, go to Galatians 5:22-23.
All right, here we go. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, and faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law.
Okay, so just before this, he's talking about all the bad things. And he says that people who do those things will not inherit the kingdom.
Those are all sins.
Correct. They're all sins. Everything that he lists before this in this little
But
passage
it's just
is
two.
sins.
We only have to worry about the 2 commandments.
So, but here he's saying against these things, the fruits of the Spirit, there isn't a law against them. So here's the question. If we're not to follow the laws, whether the law of sin or the law of blessing, neither of them, then why does Paul even mention the laws here in this passage? Whether it's the iniquities, the sins, which will you scroll up just a little bit, actually? I want to see roughly where that starts at 16.
Yep.
Yeah, because he says, if you walk in the Spirit, you won't fulfill the lusts of the flesh. Okay. That's, again, super hard, but not entirely hard. It's not unachievable.
It's not
It can be
impossible.
difficult to start with, but when you put it into practice, it's just like working out a muscle. My nephew and his wife talked about this, and it was a really good discussion. And he said it's like a muscle. At first, it's really hard to pick up the dumbbell and to work out your bicep, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And then you even get a weightier one. And then
Stronger.
that's a little bit harder. And then you get where that's easy, and then you get a bigger one, and you just continue to build the muscle. And that's exactly, you have to exercise your faith as if it's a muscle. So yes, at first some of these things are going to be very, very hard, but the more you put them into practice, the easier it becomes for the most part. So the things that he lists here for bad or lawless or sin is adultery, fornication, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, heresies, envyings, hatred, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, murders, drunkenness, and revelings. These are all things that are part of the law of curse because they go against what the law of blessing says, where he says, don't have any other gods, don't have idols, don't commit adultery, you shall kill a witch, you shall not envy, you shall not murder. He says to be sober-minded. All of those are the law of blessing. So if you're not doing the law of blessing, you're obviously and immediately doing the opposite of that. Equal opposite sides of the same coin, if you will, heads or tails. So you're either doing heads or you're doing tails. There isn't any other way to spin this, and this is what he's talking about, which is why he lists the good things: love, joy, peace, which is long suffering, peace isn't. Long suffering is patience, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness or kindness, temperance. There's no laws against that, because you need to treat other people. It's kind of the golden rule: treat other people how you want to be treated.
That's right.
And that's what he means by loving your brother as yourself. So again, the question is posed: why would he be talking about the law in these passages if the law doesn't apply anymore? Or if Paul told us that we could do away with the law, or if Paul told us that we're dead to the law, or that Yahusha freed us from the law? Why would he mention it so much in all of his passages? And why would he say that he teaches from the law of Moses? Because he does say that. I believe it's in Galatians.
He says it a couple times.
2. Don't quote me on that. But he does say that he teaches from the law and the prophets. Okay, so this is our third point. And I want to say, yeah, it's our last one as well, I want to say. So it has kind of two sub-points to it. So the point is that this last point is the most important point. If you don't catch anything from the rest of the video, this is what you need to catch.
If you've made it this far, there's no way you can.
I don't know what else to tell you. You're either trying not to hear, or Yahuwah has hardened your heart, or he's blocked your ears, or the devil's distracting you. There's any number of reasons why, if you've made it this far, you still don't agree or you still don't understand. There isn't really much else to say, although there are tons of other verses. They all say the same thing. So we pulled out kind of the one-hitter quitters, but again, you have to read around the
one-hitter quitter.
You have to read around in context.
I like that.
Okay, so this last point again is most important, and it's in two subpoints. So first subpoint, would you like to take that one?
Perhaps
Number
I will.
1. The first subpoint says number 1.
How are we judged?
How are we judged?
How are we judged? Does everyone really? When you're standing in front of Yahusha.
No, when you're standing in front of Yahuwah.
Stand in front of Yahuwah with Yahusha having all authority to judge. Is that another video? That's another video. What are you judged on? How are we judged?
Yahusha has authority to judge until the great white throne judgment, and then he gives the authority back to the Father.
That's another video.
It is another video, but you need to know that Yahusha's not the one judging, okay? Yahusha judges up until the great white throne judgment, which is the one that literally says whether you get in or whether you get out. He hands the authority back to the Father, and we'll do a big video on that one. But the Father is the one that's judging. Yahusha's just there to be like, I got him. I got her.
I got his back.
That's what he's there for at that particular point in time, right? So he has all authority on heaven and earth to judge now and through the millennial kingdom. But at that point in time, it goes back to the Father. And a lot of people don't understand that.
We'll have a video on it. We're getting too deep into that.
Sorry. Revelation 20.
Revelation 20. Let's see it. Here we go.
If you can get there.
That's an easy one to find.
Revelation 20. And we're going to go to verse 12.
Okay. Verse 12.
Or you can even start at 11 if you'd like.
Okay. I can do that. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before Yahuwah, and the books were open. And another book was open, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works.
Their works. So what are we judged on? Our works. Let's look at another example. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 5. He's holding the Revelation verse up there in case you guys want to read that. But we're going to 2 Corinthians 5, and we're going to verse 10.
For we must all appear
You
before
didn't
the
change it
judgment
on the
seat.
screen
Do
for
what?
the people. Oh, you did? Sorry.
Here we go. 2 Corinthians 5, verse 10. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Yahusha. The Mashiach. That everyone may receive the things done in his body, according to that he hath done, whether it be good or bad.
So whether you've done good or whether you've done bad, you're going to be judged by what you've done, your works. Okay, 1 Peter 1:17.
And if ye call on the Father, who without respect of persons judgeth according to every man's work, pass the time of your sojourning here in fear.
Okay. And then he goes on to talk about, we weren't redeemed with corruptible things like silver and gold that we received from the traditions of our fathers, but with the blood of the Mashiach, as a lamb without blemish. So, but he says without respect of persons. So he doesn't care who you are, where you came from, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a president, a king, a servant, a teacher, a homeless person. He does not care. He has no respect of persons. He cares whether you have done what he asked you to do. He cares about your obedience, and you will be judged on whether you were obedient or not, on what you've done. We will be pardoned by the blood of Mashiach. That's why I'm saying he stands to the side. So Yahuwah is going to judge, the Father is going to judge whether you did good or whether you did bad, how much of each you did, whatever, put you in the scales, weigh and balance. And if you're found wanting, which every single person will be according to Romans, right? All
And
have
other
sinned and fallen
places,
short.
yeah.
So every single person will be found wanting. That's when Yahusha comes in and is like, I got them. I died for those people. They tried, right? Okay, so now let's do the second question.
Who are the saints?
This is a fun one. This is a really good one. So we're going to look at Yahusha's words first, and that's Matthew 19, verse 17.
Okay, here we go. Matthew 19, 17. And he said unto him, Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is Yahuwah. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments.
Oh.
Is it just keep the two? Is it just keep what Paul said? Or is it the as in all, the Father's commandments?
So the word commandments is interchangeable with law, which is interchangeable with statutes, which is interchangeable with just judgments. So when it says commandments, keep the commandments, it's not talking about just the 10, or it would specify keep the 10. He's actually talking about all of them when he's saying this. So there's only one that's good, and that's the Father, the creator of all things, that knows all, does all. And you need to keep the commandments to enter into eternal life.
Enter into life.
So let's go to John 14:15.
This one's spoke about a lot around here. Mm-hmm. All right. And this one says, If ye shall ask anything in my name, I will do it.
You read 14:14.
Oh, sorry.
14,
if ye
15.
love me, keep my commandments.
There you go. Which, I mean, still applies.
Right.
Anything that you ask in his name. Now, anything that you ask and you say, in Yahusha's name, but I want it for myself and I'm selfish. But if you're like, hey, I'm really struggling. I'm by myself. There's no one that believes the same as me. I need help. I need someone. Then he will, if you just hold to that and you need it so you can have fellowship, so you can stay strong, he will either come and fellowship with you, send an angel to fellowship with you, or send someone into your life. And I know this from experience.
Oh, yeah.
But if you love him, you'll keep his commandments. So if you say, I love Jesus, Jesus is my guy, he knows my heart, but you're not keeping his commandments, then you don't really love him. It's a infatuation, if you will. You love him, but not enough to do what he wants you to do. Right?
So funny.
John 15:10 is the next one.
John 15, verse 10. Get this out of the way. All right. Here we go. John 15:10. If ye keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love.
Okay, if you go just a couple verses before that, in verse 8, it says, Here is my Father glorified, that you bear much fruit, and you will be my disciples. So again, this word fruit, doesn't literally mean they're going to have grapes hanging off of their bodies. So the metaphor of it is works, that you bear much good fruit, much good works, that you do the right thing, that you help people, that you're honest, that you're loyal, that you don't cheat. Right? So again, these are not hard things to do unless you are committed to a lifestyle of sin. And then it's like, sometimes tearing yourself in half, but sometimes you have to be broken to be fixed.
You love darkness more than you do light. That's said many times. Many of the parables.
If Yahusha's doing his Father's will, right? And he's telling everyone else to do the Father's will so we can bear good fruit or good works, then we should probably see what the Father has to say. So we're going to go back to the Old Testament, and we're going to go to Leviticus 23:3.
23:3, huh?
And it's actually Leviticus 26:3. I'm sorry. I said it wrong.
I was like, this is about something different.
It's about the feast days, which you should do as well. It's part of the law. But
you should read Leviticus 23. It's a good book.
it is.
Okay. All right, which verse?
It's 26:3 through 27:34. Do you want to read that?
Sure.
You know what? No, okay. I would say they could read it themselves.
You should read it yourself.
Okay. Well, just to save time, you can read it yourself. But here he's instructing making no graven images and threshing, and by following him, you'll be able to chase your enemies and chase them away, that you'll have plenty to eat and harvest, etc. And then, oh, wait, right there. Verse 11. Let's read
Verse
that one.
11. It says,
and
And
12.
I will set my tabernacle among you, and my soul shall not abhor you.
And verse 12.
And I will walk among you, and will be your Elohim, and ye shall be my people.
Okay. And he talks about how he brought them out of Egypt, and that he broke their bonds of their yokes or their servitude, and he made them go upright, just as he's wanting us to be upright, whether we're Jew or Gentile, according to Galatians. It doesn't matter. If you say that you believe in God, Yahuwah, if you say that you believe in Jesus, Yahusha, then you should do what they said to do. If you say that, otherwise it makes you into a liar. So you can, I don't really love, it's really more of an annoyance, but I love when people say, well, that was just for the Jews, or that was just for the Israelites. No, it wasn't, because if you read in Exodus, when the people came up out of Israel, they took a mixed multitude with them when they came up out of Israel. And those people, it said to have the same law in Numbers. It says to have the same law for the native born as well as for the sojourners. So that's what Galatians is quoting when he's saying there is no difference between Jew and Gentile. Now let's go to Proverbs chapter 7, verse 2.
Okay, Proverbs 7,
Yep.
verse 2.
Yeah. It's a great one. I love Proverbs. If you haven't read Proverbs, you should read it because, again, they're a bunch of one-hitter quitters. There might be onesies and twosies that are strung together, but for the most part, it's just like you can get so much out of one sentence in Proverbs.
It
Anyway.
says, "Keep my commandments and live, and my law as the apple of thine eye."
Yep. And just above that, my son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with you. And then there's another one that says, forsake not the law of your mother. And, it's just, there's so many in Proverbs that tell you, Proverbs chapter 3, I want to say, is all about the tree of life being wisdom and understanding of the word of God. And so, like, if you want to partake in the tree of life, then you need to get wisdom. And the only way you can get wisdom is if you study. And what are you going to study if you don't have to change anything and they didn't have anything to go off of? You have to study the word. So it all goes together to form the actual doctrine if you bother reading it. Okay, so we know from what Yahusha has said that we need to keep the commandments because the original questions, go back to the original question, who are the saints is what Brad had asked, right? So we're just reviewing. Who are the saints? Yahusha said that they need to keep the commandments because the Father's the only one that's good. He said if you love him, you keep the commandments. He said if you keep his commandments, you'll abide in his love as he abides in his Father's commandments. The Father said to keep the commandments, that it will go well with you. Let's go to Deuteronomy 30:19.
All right.
More on the Father, what he's saying.
Here we go. Deuteronomy 30:19. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live.
That goes right in with the Proverbs thing again, because Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he won't depart from it. And so he says, he sets before us, or before them even, that day, a blessing and a curse, life and death. He literally says here, choose life. That
Please,
you both,
he's
both you
pleading
and
with
your
us.
kids, both you and your babies, so they can live, so you can train them up the right way. You choose life so you can train them, so that they can live. Or do you not care? Do you not care whether they die, whether they go to hell? I know so many people that are like, well, I really want them to choose for themselves what religion they want to follow. And it's so sad to me, because I'm like, okay, I understand that there are nice people everywhere. I understand that not all people are murderers. But I want my children to live, not just in this life, but in the next.
That's right.
And so I try to do everything that I can to show them what it says. They have to open their heart to it. I can't make them. But while they're in my house, I want them to know. So that way when they leave my house, they can't say that we didn't teach them.
That's right.
I don't want, in Ezekiel, he sends Ezekiel out and he says, I'm not sending you to a strange land. I'm sending you to your own people, not people of a strange or harsh tongue, but to your people. And if you warn the righteous, like if the righteous fall and you warn the righteous of their wickedness and they repent, you've gained your brother back. If you warn the wicked and they repent, then you've gained a brother and saved a soul and your own. But if you don't warn either of them, then their blood's on your hands. And I don't want my kids' blood on my hands.
Yeah, that ain't happening in our household.
So let's go to Deuteronomy 7:9 really fast.
All right, Deuteronomy 7:9. All right, this one says, know therefore that the Lord thy God is Elohim, and the faithful Elohim, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations.
Keep reading.
And repayeth them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hateth him. He will repay him to his face. Thou shalt therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command thee this day to do them.
Okay, so Yahuwah, God, the Father, he is not one to do things behind your back. It says he will do it to your face. He's not someone that's going to talk about you behind your back. He's not someone that's going to do things behind your back. He literally will repay you to your face if you hate him.
He's really not someone at all, you know?
Yeah, what is the meaning of hate here in this passage? Is just what Yahusha said just a couple verses back, John 14:15. If you love me, you'll keep my commandments.
That's right.
So if you don't love, if you hate him, you won't keep the commandments, right?
Yep.
And so this is where Yahusha and Yahuwah, the Father and the Son, are in agreement with each other.
They're perfectly in agreement. I was going to say that earlier, but they are literally
in his Father's name.
And Paul is spitting the same words, and just people don't see
John
it.
is.
John
and Peter is.
And Peter and James and the sailboat. They're all saying the same things.
James, John, and sailboat. That's funny.
You know what I'm saying?
It's true. It's true.
If they don't marry up, then something's wrong. You can't skip what James said because Paul said something you like.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
Well, in James chapter 2, I think it's verses 14 to 26, maybe 24. Anyway, he also talks about how, I'll show you my faith by my works.
That's right.
And that whole little thing kind of hits you in the jaw, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to look at the past really quick. Let's go to Exodus 19:5.
Okay.
5-8, actually.
We were already in the past, but we're going to do it again.
I mean, even further in the past, right? Exodus 19.
Okay, Exodus 19:5, and we're about to wrap up. I know it's been almost 2 hours.
Amen. This was an important one, okay? We had to explain a bunch of this stuff because there's so many
personally,
false
I think it's
out here.
just silly that we would have to explain this, but it's one of them things where people just, you're a demon if you follow God's commandments, and I look at them like they're crazy. It's like, what do you mean? That doesn't make any sense. All right, Exodus 19:5.
5-8.
5-8. Mm-hmm. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure. You want to say that word for me?
Peculiar.
There you go. Treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Yisrael. Keep going.
Through 8, yes.
And Moses came and called for the elders of the people and laid before their faces all these words which Yahuwah had commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that Yahuwah hath spoken, we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto Yahuwah.
So this is where he makes the covenant of life and death with them. And they said they would do the covenant of life. And he chastises them when they don't do it. And he chastises them when they don't do it. And he punishes them when they don't do it, to the point where he distributes them through the nations and they lose their faces, etc. But an important thing here, again, a lot of people take this out of context and they say, well, that's just for Israel.
Yeah, well, that's
because
another
it says
video. That's our next video.
To the people of Israel. But again, in Numbers, it says there shall be one law. And I think also in Leviticus 22.
Many places.
It says there shall be one law for the native born as well as the sojourners or the adopted, which is why
the grafted in is grafted into what? And we're going to cover that. That's one of Jen's top 5 things.
Yeah.
We'll knock that one out of the park, and you can't deny it.
So we're going to do one more citation, and then we'll give some closing thoughts with 3 more verses. So these are kind of all in a row. They're my favorite. It helps me. But we're going to look at Revelation from John.
Are we going to read these?
I think we should do 14:12.
All right, Revelation 14:12.
But I'm going to go ahead, while you're looking that up, I'm going to go ahead and list out the other ones.
Sure.
Okay.
If you got a pen handy, write these down.
Revelation 12:17, Revelation 13:10, Revelation 14:12, Revelation 16:15, which has to do with the armor of God, and Revelation 22:14. But we're just going to read Revelation 14:12 for right now.
All right, here we go.
This is again answering the question, who are the saints? Who are they?
This is a big one. This one hurts.
Are you a saint?
Here we
Let's
go.
read it.
Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of the Father or God or Elohim and the faith of Yahushua HaMashiach.
Which in other translations, that word faith in Greek is the testimony. So a lot of people say, well, I keep the 10 Commandments, even when they don't keep the Sabbath. Or,
You keep bounding that tonight.
I'm sorry,
Getting
it's
folks.
annoying. But say, I keep the 10 Commandments, but they don't keep, I should specify, they keep a Sabbath. They don't keep the seventh day Sabbath that was sanctified and made holy by Yahuwah in Genesis chapter 2.
A mark between you
A mark,
and him.
a sign.
Yeah, I get it.
But anyway, they say, I keep the commandments and I have faith in Yahusha.
I'm a good person.
But that's not what this word necessarily means. It's going back to that Matthew 7:23. We have to have the testimony of Yahusha. He has to testify for us. He has to have faith in us as well. Not the sort of faith that we have in him, obviously. We're waiting on him to fulfill his promise. But he has to be able to see by our fruits that our fruits were plenteous and we were trying. Yes, we're going to fall a lot, and he's there to pick us up and urge us to the finish line. But we have to stay diligent. We have to stay on the fight. So are you looking up the faith right there? The
yeah,
PC?
let's just say, just keep talking.
Mm-hmm. He's looking up the Greek word there. You distracted me with your
I
computer.
just keep
clicks.
talking.
You're still not on the same screen.
Keep talking, honey.
I don't know what you want me to say. You're looking
Keep
it up. You're on
talking.
your own
I'm
brain
trying
wave.
to put this on the screen as you're saying
You're
it.
gonna have to edit this part out.
I'm not editing nothing. Faith, belief, trust,
Confidence, fidelity. Do we have fidelity with him? Have we pledged ourselves to him truly? When they say to make him the Lord of your life, the master, the teacher, have you actually done that? Do you have faith and assurance? And does he have faith and assurance in you that you're actually going to hold up your end of the bargain? The bargain was struck in Exodus. Technically, the bargain was struck all the way back in Genesis chapter 4, around verse 7, where he told Cain, why are you downcast? If you do not do well, will you not be accepted?
There it is again.
You know?
That's true.
Do well and you'll be accepted. So this has been around, again, from the moment that the light occurred. The light is the Torah. Psalms
Instructions.
says that the word is a light a lamp to my path and a light unto my feet, or a light unto my path
Yeah,
and a lamp
like
unto my feet. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head right now. It's very late now where we are.
Yes, it is.
So closing thoughts, we're going to go to Revelation 21:6. And what I'm first going to say is this kind of combats the thought of it all ended at the cross when he died and he said, it is finished, right? Which literally means the debt is paid. So this is when it actually is finished. It literally says in Revelation chapter 21, verse 6. Go ahead, Brad.
And he said unto me, it is done. I am the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of water of life freely.
Okay, so this is when it actually is the end. He that overcomes will inherit all things. I will be his Elohim, and he shall be my son. This is the adoption into inheritance with Messiah in verse 7. Okay, Ecclesiastes 12:13. Have you ever asked yourself, what is the meaning of life? What is the purpose of being alive? Why am I here? Go to Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Maybe it's in the Old Testament. He's struggling to find it. Go down.
What now?
Right? Oh, you scrolled again. There you go. Jeez.
Stop watching me and keep talking.
I'm waiting on you so I can keep talking. I'm waiting on the
Just
verse.
talk. What do you got next?
Ecclesiastes 12:13.
Oh.
If you've ever waited and wondered what is the meaning of life, like I already said. I'm just waiting on you to read the verse. I'm out of
All
things
right,
to say, though.
12:13.
All right.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Yahuwah and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
May as well read 13.
For God shall bring every work into judgment, with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. Yeah, that
Our
sucks.
whole duty is to keep the commandments because he's going to judge us based on our works, whether it's good or bad.
Some of y'all's in trouble.
Deuteronomy, well, so are we, technically, if we didn't have the blood to cover us.
Hey, man, I know I'm in trouble.
Deuteronomy chapter 30.
Deuteronomy. All right.
And this is to combat those people that say that it's too hard, or there's 613 of them, which is a Talmudic tradition. There may or may not be 613. I haven't particularly counted them myself, and if there are, then there are. Not every law applies to all people. There are some for just the priests. There are some for farmers. There are some for men. There are some for women. There are some for children. There are some that's for everybody. But this completely annihilates, if you believe the Bible and what it says. If you believe what it says. So do you believe what you say you believe?
No.
Because this annihilates the idea that keeping the law is too hard. We're going to Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 11. And this is the closing thing. And then Brad can say some closing thoughts.
Okay. For this commandment which I command thee this day, it is not hidden from thee, neither is it far off.
So he goes on to say that it's not in heaven, it's not in the sea, it's close to you. In verse 14, the word is very nigh unto you, very near to you. It's in your mouth and in your heart that you can do it, right? So if you accept him and you want him and you're truly seeking him, you're praying to him, you want to know what it says, you're willing to give up your life and your wants and not be selfish. You're willing to give up sin, no matter how much fun it may seem. It's not too hard for you.
It's not too hard for anybody.
You don't have to keep all 613 things. If there are 613, that's not, it's just incomprehensible when people say that, because most people, as Paul says, even the Gentiles do a majority of the law without knowing they're doing it. It's natural to not want to murder your parents. It's natural. I know there are people that have mental things. I'm just saying for normality's sake, right? The regular everyday Joe doesn't just want to go murder his parents.
He's saying that most Gentiles, even the heathens,
generally
do the laws and don't even know it.
Exactly.
Just because it's natural to not be a heathen in most ways. Now, some things, obviously, like eating blood and the things they were doing as traditions.
Which is why in those sections, a lot of people pull that out as well. Good thing you brought that up.
Yeah.
But he gives just a little bit thing. He's like, let's do this. Don't eat blood.
Let's just start there, guys.
Don't commit adultery. He lists 4 things because they're already doing, just being normal everyday people, they're already doing a majority of the things. And he can't give them the whole entirety of the law the first time that he talks to them.
Right.
Because it's a sanctification walk.
He's
You'll
trying
overload.
he's trying to get them into the walk. He's not trying to get them to the end of the race. Let's start the walk, guys.
How do babies start their lives? Milk.
Yeah.
Then
start
soft
with milk.
food. Then maybe something that's edible and chews well, like a cooked carrot, and then you make it to...
Sounds awful.
Anyway, then you make it all the way up to like big hunks of steak, you know? And that's delicious. So you can't feed someone that needs milk a big steak, which is why he gave those people. It's another thing that's taken out of context. He didn't give them to say that these are the only things that matter anymore. Don't eat blood, don't commit adultery, etc. He lists several times several other things that are considered bad. But
Yep.
So all of this to say, your works are not what saves you, but your works prove that you were paying attention and that you have a changed heart and that you want to obey. You have a want and a desire to obey now. and then Yahusha will come along. So you're already like taking a shower, but he comes along and like bleaches. And you know what? He didn't even bleach your garments. He throws them out and gives you a brand new garment. And he makes sure that he inspects you and makes sure that every little spot of blemish is off of you, and then sends you to the Father. You should be taking a shower. You cannot come to him and say, I want to get into heaven, but I haven't even bothered taking a bath.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
All right. This has been a good video.
I'm passionate.
I'm sorry that it's 2 hours long.
Hey, man, it
we
needed
do this
to be.
every time. It's supposed to have been 30 minutes, but that was a joke. We were joking. It's fine.
We're passionate people, and we want to thoroughly explain it so there's no questions.
Hey man, if you can argue with these things, please put them in the comments. We'll go
We'll
live
respond
with
to
you.
you.
Like, let's talk.
Yeah.
Anyway, signing off. This is Jen and Brad after 2 hours.
Adios.
I'm
Late
going
at night.
to sleep now.
Bye.
Shalom.
Well, I've been wandering this desert, finding only danger, never knowing where I'm gonna go. Feeling lonely as I wander, but I was seeking answers when I felt your spirit touch my soul. Well, I'd never known surrender, but I laid down my heart's desires and I let go of my control. My flesh is telling me to run away, to turn back from this place, but you're all I wanna know. It's only you that shines the morning sun. It's only you that gives us our instruction. Yeah, it's only you that shows me who I am when everything seems to go wrong. It's only you that helps me in the night, guiding me along. Oh, oh, oh. It's only you guiding me along. Oh, oh, oh. Well, I want to know more of you, so come now and reveal the truth. I want to walk the narrow road to the living word. You lead me and you satisfy completely. You show me things that I never know. Keeping Sabbath and being clean, like Yahuwah, I just wanna be holy. Writing Torah down within my soul. Yahshua walked the path perfectly, and I will follow in his lead. For he made soft my heart as stone. It's only you that shines the morning sun. It's only you that gives us our instruction. Yeah, it's only you that shows me who I am when everything seems to go wrong. It's only you that helps me in the night, guiding me along. It's only you guiding me along. Yahweh, you show me what it means to be holy, making your ways my ways, following the righteous path. How could I turn aside to the left or the right when you've shown your favor to the broken, weary sinners? We all don't deserve the love that the Father has given us, but yet he has delivered you and me from the power of the enemy. So don't turn back or look away, for y'all alone has given grace, so that you and I can live to see his face. It's only you that shines the morning sun. It's only you that gives us our instruction. Yeah, it's only you that shows me who I am when everything seems to go wrong. It's only you that helps me in the night, guiding me along. Oh, 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 oh. It's only you guiding me along. Oh, 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 oh. It's only